So right now we are about 4 games into Jordan Love's career, 5 games, and if you look at his total starts, and everyone has their opinion on Jordan Love so far. And so I wanted to come here and read different opinions about Jordan Love. I came across an interesting Reddit thread where this guy, Stuart W642, asked people, basically, what is your opinion on Jordan Love so far? So I want to read some of these. Feel free to give your opinion in the comments down below, and I'll share my thoughts as well. So first off here, Drew D did it, or something like that, showing good signs with a lot of room for improvement. So simply looking at it, I would agree with this assessment. He's made some plays where you're like, oh my goodness, that was crazy. Some arm angles, his ability to escape the pocket. There's some times where I'm very amazed with what Love can do. And of course, there's still areas for him to improve his completion percentage, which has to do with, some of his accuracy issues, getting in alignment with the receivers. So still definitely room to improve, but I agree with that assessment. Next, Rec335. He has potential, but comparing him to Rodgers is ridiculous. Rodgers is top 5 all time. Love will not be as good as Rodgers, short of a miracle, and that's okay. We can't expect him to be. So yes, it's hard to be compared to Rodgers, who is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and there's going to be very few, if any, quarterbacks who ever get back to the talent and sort of play at that Aaron Rodgers level. So I think all of us, sort of expected that, Love isn't going to be Aaron Rodgers. The odds of him being one of the best quarterbacks of all time aren't high, but obviously I still think it's too early, and we got to give him some more time. Next, Ray Nieder says, having Aaron Rodgers as our QB for the past 17 years has absolutely cooked a lot of people's evaluations of QBs. Lots of franchises would bite off their own hands to have their first-year quarterback start like this. So he seems to be pretty optimistic about what Love looks like so far, and basically saying that we're so used to Rodgers that maybe we're underrating Jordan Love. But yeah, 4 games in, the fact that Christian Watson was only back last game, the fact that all these guys are so young, they're just going to get better as time goes on. There was so much talk last season that Rodgers needed time to grow with his young receivers who he didn't have much chemistry with. And I think the same thing goes for Jordan Love, who's barely played with these guys. And lots of these guys who are getting tons of snaps, Jaden Reed, Luke Musgrave, Dontavian Wicks, lots of them have barely played, have barely picked up this playbook. And so I think we're going to see improvement as time goes by because of that. Then here we have from 20 Wall. Could be worse, but I'm not ready to call him a franchise QB, even if there's a fire. So I guess, personally, I do think that Love has shown me enough to convince me that he's going to be the guy here for 5 or 10 years. You could think it's too early to make that assessment, and obviously there's still a lot of time to judge what Love can be, and we'll have a fuller picture of that by mid-season, by the end of the season. But just so far, the fact that he's looked as good as he has, the plays that he makes, his different abilities, I just think that looking at that and seeing what he is right now, and the fact that there's so much room for improvement, I just find it hard to believe that in the next couple of years he ends up leaving Green Bay or isn't the guy. That's just my opinion. Then here we have from I Am Jum. He has the arm talent to make every NFL throw and confidence to bring a team back when down in the 4th. Of course, there are things to work on, but just having those 2 things put him on a good path. Very true. Very true. It's nice seeing that, when Love is down in a game, it's not like in his mind it's all over. He comes back, he plays well when he's down, which is something you always want from a quarterback. That kind of guy who, no matter what it's like, he continues to play at a high level, or try to. And then we have Joe Braided says, ask yourself what would have the score been had the QBs been swapped. But the Lions have won by an even larger margin. Green Bay has some major issues. Love is not the reason we lost that game. Remember, 12 could not beat them with a much healthier team in the playoffs on the line. 10 actually put some fear in the Lions after a horrific first half. Give him time to throw in running game and some good play calling, and we are set. 10 reminds me of Allen. Absolutely passes the eyeball test. He will only get better. LaFleur and Joe Barry concern me way more. In short, he has all the tools and just needs time in an offensive line and a running game. Yeah, and if you guys saw my video after the Lions game, I think it was a day after, I said, Love wasn't the reason the Packers lost, because the Packers allowed pressures on 47% of snaps. The offensive line is beat up with Jenkins out, Bakhtiari out, and so you give Love a line where he's consistently getting blocked for. He's going to be that much better, and I think looking at that Lions game, wasn't fully his fault. We need this offensive line to get healthy, and 2, this running game has not played well, not played well at all. Aaron Jones really hasn't been back much. He played a little bit, but didn't get too many snaps. So if the Packers can get that running game going, obviously it's going to help Love as well. So now we have a couple more. Mr. Goat89 says, not doing great, would have a ton more interceptions if the defenses came up with it. So I think they're having a few picks, that have been dropped by the defenses, but I don't think there's been a crazy amount. There's been some here and there. Then to end it off, 6 Pro 1 Fit 9. Too early to tell. He has the tools, but is still a tad bit inconsistent. He tends to force a lot of throws that aren't there. He's more similar to Favre than Rodgers. Long story short, high ceiling, but Matt LaFleur needs to slow the game down for him by running the football more. So, I mean, it's hard to, with Rodgers, I mean, he rarely turned the ball over, so the odds of, Love being able to control the ball as well as Rodgers, not very high. And I did see a stat on NFL Next Gen Stats. It basically measures aggressiveness percentage, and that's the quarterback throwing the ball when there's a defender within a yard. I think Love was the highest in the NFL right now, like 26% or so. So I think that shows you many things. The fact that maybe these receivers aren't getting a ton of separation if he's having to throw it into these tight windows. Also, too, he's not afraid to. He still has the highest average depth of target in the league, and he has the highest aggressiveness percentage, which means when there's a guy on someone, he's still not afraid to try to place it in there. So I guess that could be good and bad because he's willing to force it in there, but at times that could lead to interceptions. But all in all, those are all the ones I wanted to read. But personally, I think that Love has looked good, things to improve, and this is going to get much better as the season progresses. That's my opinion. So let me know yours down below. But that's it for this one. I'll see you guys next time.